Thanks for having me again, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming back. So, what's on your mind tonight?
This week I found out about a new study that was taking place into the realm of psychedelics and their effect on, people and how they can be used therapeutically. And the specific case that I was looking at was being conducted in LA, in Los Angeles, by a research group called the Los Angeles Biomedical Research Institute, and they've been doing studies into MDMA, which is commonly known as ecstasy, and its effect on autistic adults with social anxiety disorder. And it was basically, in controlled settings and with different control groups. And they have found that it had a profound, it showed a profound improvement for these people and their ability to cope with social situations that would typically be extremely difficult for them. And I would say that this reaches beyond people with autism to just people with social anxiety in general. But from what I know about people with autism, from some people that I know that have it, is social anxiety is a very serious issue for them. So it's kind of more of an urgent issue for people with autism.
Yeah, definitely. So, this is where was this study coming from? You said
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, and so this is another study. I mean, we've seen these more and more recently. This is the revival of hallucinogenic studies of hallucinogenic therapy, where we have, for the first time in quite some years, studies allowed on LSD in certain nations. And if you don't know a little bit of the history for the viewers, in the late 70s, early 80s, when ecstasy MDMA was first out there before it became a street drug and a party drug, a club drug, it was often given out to patients. It was also there were studies done on alcoholics and a number of others where these things were seriously pursued, and it wasn't just the realm of some counterculture hippie to think that acid was going to change the world. These ideas were really seriously considered, and through organizations such as MAPS that continues these studies, and other organizations and other universities, we find that there still is quite a bit of research to be done on these topics. What other studies come to mind, though, that point to you the importance of these different substances?
One was actually that took place locally at Johns Hopkins, which is pretty close to me. Um, it was a study done into psychedelic mushrooms and their effect on terminally ill cancer patients. And what they found was that it emotionally, it really helped them cope with the experience of death and the fact that they were dying, and it made them come to terms with it and come to peace with it. And it made their days living on this earth more fulfilled, and they were able to enjoy the rest of the time on this earth. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting with a couple of researchers that were involved with this. I forget their names at the moment, but they were involved with the presentation downtown that I was at, and it's been going on for several years, and the study is now concluded. And this past year, all the results have came out showing that these people did have a dramatic increase in their improvement in their state of mind, and it's been very helpful in recent years to kind of break away the propaganda that has been pushed onto these drugs, because scientific research has been strictly forbidden because of the fact that it would make it obvious that everything out there is propaganda. So I think that now we're starting to see that veil be lifted, so to speak.
Okay, so I want to play devil's advocate here for a minute. Let's think about okay, do you think in your perception, do you think there's an importance in the setting? We talk about the set and setting and the way the roles that they play, specifically in a trip. Whether that's an MDMA trip or an LSD trip or any other trip. Do you think the setting, doing it with the right intention and maybe in this meditative, this therapeutic mindset, is important, and will studies like this just give, say, some people out there another reason to continue just tripping, and oh yeah, of course it's, it's helping me in this or that way, but are the benefits truly gained from these various drugs, these substances, if not taken in a medicinal therapeutic way? I'm not sure if you understand my point there, what I'm asking, but do you think it has an effect?
Well, absolutely. Basically, the way I would answer that is I think that it is important to have the intention and the setting and all that, and it will improve the chances of you know you having the type of breakthrough experience that'll improve your life and improve your state of mind and maybe heal sicknesses that are in your psyche. But at the same time, it can happen accidentally without people even realizing it. Um, but at the same time, people have the ability to abuse things. We've talked about tools as far as technology goes in the past, and it's always a double-edged sword. It's the same way with psychedelic drugs. It can be used to help people, and people can be chasing the dragon and actually do a significant amount of damage to their lives. So that is kind of the path that we walk with freedom. We have choices to overindulge or to make conscious decisions. Now, I would also say that I would not rule out the time for recreational drug use, so to speak, but I think that should be separated from therapeutic use, and I think that it should be recognized that there's a difference. I think that if you're going to go out and party, then you're going to tell yourself you're going to go out and party. But if you actually want to solve a problem or improve some obstacle that you're trying to overcome, then you really need the controlled setting and the proper dosage and the safe situation. And I would definitely add that it makes the situation safer too, because if you're not in the right state of mind, in the right setting, you can potentially create a dangerous situation just with your mind and things that your mind tells you to do at that particular time.
I think deluding yourself into thinking that, like, yeah, every little single acid trip you do on a weekend or MDMA trip or whatever is like elevating your consciousness, and confusing the difference between that and when you actually are pursuing those higher states. I think that I can say for me personally, I did that at one point where I just, I knew that yes, these substances, these tools could help in certain ways, and so that allowed me to justify, certain ways that I was abusing and disrespecting them at the same time. It's like, oh yeah, it's all for this good positive stuff. Let's just keep dosing each other or whatever. And obviously, it wasn't always with that same conscious mindset. And for me personally, and especially if you're after these therapeutic benefits that we're talking about, then the setting and those type of things do play an important role.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's extremely important to mention because I've definitely walked down a similar path to the one that you're talking about, and I can totally relate to that. And I see many others do the same thing a lot of times. And I think that it's really important that we be honest with ourselves about what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We have to be honest with ourselves if we're going to advance forward. So, well, I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you were able to join us again, and I think that it's a good idea. So you want to do this Culture Shock live every week, or you can do it pre-recorded if you like. Either way is fine. I think that maybe the audience might enjoy the back and forth between you and I on the topics.
Yeah, it might even bring out a bit more. And I would actually add to our conversation earlier, if I got a minute, that when you were talking about the early uses of psychedelics and stuff, many people don't know that the person who discovered DNA was actually tripping on LSD when he made that discovery. And it was actually very common for scientists at the time to take LSD as a thought booster and things like that. The guy who invented the computer mouse was tripping when he came up with that idea. And Steve Jobs was, as many people know, has said that LSD changed his life and that it changed the way he thought, and that many of his inventions would not have been possible without that experience.
There you go. LSD has changed the world. Thank you for joining us tonight. That was John G. Vibes, The Culture Shock. We'll have him back on next week and every week with that. Thank you, brother.